Right now, your Hermes agent is blind, it's silent, and it's locked out of every app you actually use. You've set it up and now it just sits in your terminal doing about 10% of what it can really do. The 5 upgrades that change that are either already built into Hermes or one API key away and almost nobody turns them on. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly the 5 I run on my own Hermes agent, so you can connect it to over 1,000 apps like Gmail and Slack, let it read any website in real time, and get it talking back to you out loud. If you don't know who I am, my name is Jimmy Barkway. I run a profitable AI startup, so if you haven't already, grab yourself a fresh cup of tea and let's dive straight in. Hermes Agent by itself has been a total game changer and has established itself as the OpenClaw killer. But without upgrades like these, there is a ton left on the table that you're missing out on. Out of the box, Hermes Agent is really powerful, but it cannot act outside of its own terminal. It has a very basic form of web search built in, but it's not good enough to be running as your personal AI assistant. This is where Firecrawl comes in, and it's really easy to set up. It can go ahead and scrape the live internet, web search, crawl web pages really quickly, and returns all of that data for Hermes Agent, which it can save and use and update its memory with. As another great thing about Hermes Agent is that you don't have to ask it to update its memory, because it does this on autopilot. After a task is finished, or at the end of the day, or at a certain cadence that you can set up, it updates its own agent skills so that next time it comes to do that thing, it knows how to do it the right way the first time. This is part of the reason that Hermes Agent has become so popular, something like 140,000 plus stars on GitHub, 181,000 stars on GitHub. This is the agent that grows with you. And if I'm talking total gibberish to you and you've never set up Hermes Agent before, then you can watch this video right here. Today, we're just going to cover how to install these upgrades on Hermes Agent, because I've done a ton of videos on actual Hermes setup before. You can set it up in Telegram, Discord, Slack, WhatsApp, Signal, email, a ton of different ways to be able to talk to your agent. I use Telegram because it is dead easy to set up and they've got their own API built in. It takes about 5 minutes. Grows the longer it runs, persistent memory and auto-generated skills. This has been a game changer since I've started using it. With OpenClaw, it was breaking every 10 messages or so. With Hermes Agent, it just learns and builds over time and gets better the more you use it. We can schedule automations using natural language, and it can build out cron jobs, which are basically what allow you to run code on a certain schedule. So every 24 hours, go ahead and check this competitor's website, or go ahead and have a look at my email and give me a summary. By default, Hermes Agent is silent. It only gets back to you via message, but we're going to install 11 labs today so that it can answer you with a real voice. Super useful when you're on the move. You don't have time to be reading messages. And we'll also connect Composio to be able to connect over 1,000 apps to your Hermes Agent in one, so you don't have to manage 1,000 different API keys here. We'll set up Firecrawl so we can scrape, crawl, map, search, and extract data from the internet in real time. We'll set up 11 labs, like I've just said, so it can get back to you in voice mode. Now, normally when you're using Hermes Agent through Telegram, you're sending one message at a time, and it's doing one task at a time. When we set up this control room that I'll show you today, you can set up multiple Hermes Agent sessions and manage them all from that same site. And then finally, we'll set up some cron jobs so we can run day in, day out without you having to babysit it all the time. By the way, if you want to go from just using AI to getting paid for it, check out the community, first link in the description below. We've got founders in there who landed their first client in weeks, a ton of training for building AI agents, and the actual templates behind what I just showed in this video. See that below if that's for you. Composio makes it simple to connect thousands of apps to any AI agent. Claude Code, Hermes Agent, OpenClaw, you name it. Download all 250 SVGs from our Figma file and upload them to Google Drive. Goes ahead and checks Figma and does exactly what you asked it to. Summarize everything important from Slack in the last 48 hours and send a digest to Daily Digest in Slack. It's going to go ahead and check your email and then send it off to Slack. The great thing about this as well is that it saves a lot of context. It uses significantly less tokens. And you can think of tokens like money. A token is generally about 2/3 of a word. So every token spent calling these tools locally in Hermes rather than using something like Composio is a token of money spent for your API costs. So to get started, you can just set get started right there and then sign into Composio and just create an account. Then in the back end, we can install Composio. We can connect the different apps that we want to use. You can see there's a lot available here. I'll connect my Slack. So Hermes Agent can send messages directly to me there. Just click allow, and it should automatically find your Slack account. Or it might prompt you to create one if you don't have one yet. Now let's install this. If you're on Windows, then you might have to install an MCP server using the details just down here. So I'm going to give this to my Hermes agent. Hey Hermes, this is an install command for the Composio app that gives you access to thousands of different apps potentially. I've enabled Slack on there, so I want you to go ahead and install this. Make sure that you can use Slack. Once you've done that, go ahead and send me a message on Slack to show that everything's installed correctly. And if you're wondering how I can talk into my mic and it types for me using AI, then check out Whisperflow. I'm not affiliated with them in any way, but if you go to whisperflow.ai, WISPR, then you can download this for Mac, for Windows. I think it also works on mobile, but it's been a little sketchy, to be honest. I think they're still working it out because it doesn't always appear over the apps that I'm using on my phone. But for desktop, it works brilliantly well and it saves loads of time. Highly recommend. So let's send that off and see what he does. Just before we do, you'll notice that I'm on GPT 5.5. So I'm using my OpenAI subscription to power Hermes Agent with GPT 5.5. So when you do go ahead and set up Hermes, I've been using this for the past few weeks now, and it's been amazing compared to a lot of other models that I've tried. It replies really quickly. When it does, it's really intelligent. It seems to know what it's doing. Every tool I've thrown at it so far, it's had no issues installing it and using it straight away. And that's because of this really powerful model that's powering it. Now, it's okay at the moment to use OpenAI subscription to power Hermes Agent, but you can't use your Claude Code subscription, which is definitely what I would be using if you could, but it is against their terms of service and they have been banning accounts left and right. So I don't recommend doing that. But OpenAI have said explicitly in their terms that it is okay to use a subscription as long as it's a real person using Hermes Agent and you're not powering it autonomously with GPT 5.5, like putting in messages into Telegram like this autonomously. As long as it's a real person doing this, like we're doing now, then that's okay. And you are good to go in terms of their terms of service. Let's send that off. Okay, so it's searching through its existing skills. By the way, Hermes Agent, something else that's really good about it that I love is that it has hundreds of skills built into it. So it already knows how to do loads of things that you might already want to be doing. It's searching through its files. It's running terminal commands. And just so you're aware, I have my Hermes Agent installed on a VPS. So if you go to that video that I recommended earlier to set up Hermes Agent, that will run you through how to set up Hermes on a VPS so that it's running 24/7. It doesn't require your laptop to be open all the time for it to be running. And it gives Hermes free reign to go and do whatever it needs to on your VPS without messing around with your personal files on your laptop. Another thing I like about GPT 5.5 powering Hermes Agent is that it has Claude Opus levels of reasoning and coding ability, which is amazing for installing tools like these onto Hermes Agent. Because there's a lot of commands that needs to run in the background. It could potentially need to write some custom scripts to get this working properly. And that is all well within the realm of possibility for this model. Okay, Composio installed, but the CLI is not logged in yet. Please open this Composio login URL and approve the CLI session. CLI stands for Command Line Interface. It just means it's using this app through the terminal, through the command line. Now, the reason this is great over something like MCP, which stands for Model Context Protocol, which is another way that you can access tools like Composio with your AI agent. The reason CLI is better is because MCP tends to use a very high amount of tokens because it loads all of your MCP servers into the context window at the start of every new message, new session. Whereas the CLI runs completely in the terminal and is very token efficient, which means less money spent for you while it still uses all of the tools that you want it to be using. So I'll open this link and then we can just authorize Composio like so. You can now close this terminal, connect me to Slack, email my weekly Notion notes to Sarah. The sky's the limit. Let's give it a go. While that's setting up, I just want to touch on the pricing for Composio really quick. They are self-proclaimed ridiculously cheap, which I think is true. You can do 20,000 tool calls every single month completely free. And if you do want to go above that, you you got 200,000 just for $29 a month. If we were to compare this to something like Zapier, which I'm sure you're familiar with, it's another tool that allows you to connect agents with tons of different tools. We come to their pricing page and set the tasks per month to 200K. I'm not sure if this is exactly comparable to Composio, but it does give you a good idea. At 200K, you're looking at spending thousands of dollars every month compared to Composio's $29. So if the tools that you want to use are available on Composio, definitely recommend using this. And here's the message it just sent me. Hermes and Composio install test successful. Composio CLI is installed, logged into Jimmy Barkway Workspace, Slack API, authentication passed, and I can send Slack messages from Hermes Agent now. Now we want our agent to be able to search anything on the web with one of the most powerful search tools on the market. Power your AI agents with clean web data. Search, scrape, map, and crawl the internet to your heart's content. Again, they have a very, very generous free tier of 1,000 credits every month. That is 1,000 sites scraped and read every month from your Firecall account without paying a penny. You can just hit dashboard in the top right-hand corner and it'll bring you here, and then just copy your API key there. Now, because Hermes Agent already has a Firecall skill built into it, you simply need to give it that API key and say, Hermes, can you install this Firecall API key for me? And then you can start scraping. This is the official Google AI news. I like to keep on top of it because Gemini has some really interesting models. Hermes, use Firecall to scrape this blog page and 1 to 3 interesting articles that are linked from this blog page. And then give me a quick summary right here so I can stay on top of the latest Google AI news. Okay, so I sent that off, ran some commands, and this is what we got back. Scrape with Firecall, quick Google AI pulse. The Google AI blog page is currently heavily Google I/O 2026 focused. That's an event that Google ran recently where they went through all of their latest updates. Google is pushing Gemini from just a standard chatbot into an agent platform and an infrastructure stack. Welcome to the agentic Gemini era. We've got Gemini 3.5 Flash, which is like Gemini 3.1 Pro, but a lot quicker. We've got Gemini Omni, a new video generation model, Anti-Gravity 2.0, Gemini Spark, which is pitched as a 24/7 personal agent that plugs into Google's ecosystem, like Gmail and Drive. Hermes has given its own take, some information on managed agents, and introducing Gemma 4 12B. Gemma 4 is a locally run AI model that you can run on your laptop without having to spend any money on tokens. So in theory, the only money you're spending when you run a local model is the electricity costs of the machine you're running it on. I've got a ton of videos on that on the channel, so feel free to check that out. Okay, that was useful, but that was a one-off scrape. If I want this to run every week on a certain schedule, you can just do that quite easily. Hey, Hermes, that's really good. Love the information there. Can you monitor this and run this same scrape every 7 days, every Monday, should we say, at 8 a.m. Weekly Google AI blog Firecall Digest set for Monday at 8 a.m. and it's set up a cron job to do this every week. Now we don't ever have to do this again. It's just going to do it for us. Now, if we want our AI agent to actually talk to us rather than just give us messages in Telegram, then we're going to need something like 11 Labs. Now, they also have a very generous free tier. You get like 10,000 credits every month, which should be enough to get started. They are basically the leader when it comes to voice generation in AI. So you can just hit login top right, and that's going to bring you to a page like this. And then in the bottom left, hit developers, and then API keys, and just create a new key. And then you can either restrict your key or just let it run unrestricted. If you only want it to be using certain things within your 11 Labs account, then you can set that right here. But I'll set it as unrestricted for now. Then your API key will appear on screen. You just want to copy that API key that it gives you, and then we're going to need to find a voice and copy that voice ID so it knows which voice to use. Natural.
I think this is a really nice way to just talk.
Let's go with Mark.
I think this is a really nice way to just talk naturally together, talk plainly. Let's give it a shot.
Doesn't sound too bad. So you want to click the 3 dots just here and then copy that voice ID. So Hermes Agent knows which voice to use. There's a massive library of voices that you can search through. Hey, Hermes Agent, I'm going to give you my 11 Labs API key and a voice ID for the voice I'd like you to use. If that voice is not available on their free plan, then feel free to use any voice that is available on the free plan instead. I don't mind, I'm not fussy. And then whenever I send you a voice note, I want you to reply to me using the 11 Labs key and reply to me with that voice. So then just paste your 11 Labs API key underneath and the voice ID and then send it off.
11 Labs fallback voice test from Hermes. This uses Alice, a British educational voice available on the free plan.
11 Labs API key saved in Hermes. It's env file. This is where it saves all of its environment variables, which are essentially a safe place to keep your API keys. Great. So when I send it a message in text via Telegram, it will reply to me in text. And when I send it a voice note, it's going to reply to me with a voice.
11 Labs fallback voice test from Hermes. This uses Alice, a British educational voice available on the free plan.
That'll do just fine. Asked Hermes, how do I use the inbuilt Hermes dashboard tool? I know you're on a VPS, but I need to be able to use the dashboard from my mobile or laptop, currently on my laptop. I wanted to see what different options I had available to me because it's going to be different depending on whether it's VPS or laptop that you have Hermes installed on. So best thing to do is just ask your Hermes exactly how to set up this dashboard because it already has it built in and it'll be different depending on your setup. You can use it to manage your config, API keys, sessions, cron jobs, have a look at your logs and metrics, and even talk to Hermes through a terminal user interface, TUI. Okay, I've managed to set this up on my VPS. I had to set up a quick gateway to access it here on my laptop. But if you're running Hermes Agent through the terminal, then accessing this dashboard is as easy as typing Hermes space dashboard and then pressing enter. And that's going to open this up for you. You can chat with Hermes Agent here. You can see all of your recent sessions. You can see where we've set up 11 Labs, Firecrawl, etc. These are all the different models that I've tried using, and this is where you can manage them. I've got GPT 5.5 using my OpenAI Codex subscription, and I have also experimented with some recent open source models like Gwen 3.6, DeepSeek V4 Flash. You can see all of the skills I have available to me. And the thing I want to show you here is the Kanban dashboard. So this is where you can set a number of different tasks to your agent, and it will go ahead and do those. So you just come here at the start of your day, think, okay, what is my to-do list today? And then you just set up that to-do list in the form of raw ideas, and then a specifier will flesh out the spec for each of those. Hey Hermes, can you have a look at all of my cron jobs and make sure that everything is working properly? If something is failing for whatever reason, then please go ahead and fix that and tell me what I need to do to help you to do this if you can't do it autonomously. So set up as many as you want to. It's going to go ahead and start working on that by creating a new session for us. And that is just some tools that I'm using with my Hermes Agent and how to set them up. Hope you've enjoyed today's video. Now YouTube is going to recommend a video for you to watch next.